Lazada birthday sale on March 27.
Gusto mo na Mac-Savers? Starts at 35 pesos lang yan.
In love ka talaga sa presyo ng Mac-Savers. Sarap ng kain, anytime, sa presyong kayang-kaya. Love ko to.
Love ko rin.
Of all our materials are recycled, organic, or sustainably sourced, making conscious choices easier.
We're showing off our panties, loud and proud. Wetness that can cause odor and bacteria down there? We use Carefree panty liners. Kaya carefree from odors and attracting bacteria. Be proud to wear your clean and fresh panties every day with Carefree.
A beautiful morning to all the remarkable women today, and welcome to What Women Do, an adoboSheCreative 2021 virtual breakfast, a virtual session by the adoboShe Network, featuring women trailblazers who have made their mark in their creative industries. I'm Angel Guerrero, founder and editor-in-chief of Adobo Magazine, the word on creativity. What Women Do, a SheCreative 2021 virtual breakfast, is the first event under the adoboSheCreative Network, which is a platform that celebrates the power and innate talent of women, as well as their ability to create a positive impact on culture, creative industries, businesses, and communities. This event is also powered by Adobo Talks, an Adobo series of insightful and educational sessions that tackle creativity and its ability to drive innovation and growth. Under the adoboSheCreative Network, we aim to gather the community and offer opportunities to network. You can access mentorship and education, as well as business and job creation, and so much more. So this virtual breakfast is the first of hopefully several endeavors. So as we mark the first ever adoboSheCreative virtual breakfast, we'd like to thank all our partners who made it possible, to our co-presenters H&M, Lazada, McDonald's, Johnson & Johnson are streaming partners for this event is Kumu. This event is also supported by Commune Coffee, FlowerStore.PH, Belle de Jour, Jacob's Creek, Bahn Mi Coffee. We'd like to thank our partners over at McDonald's for our viewers' breakfast. I hope you're enjoying your breakfast now. The first 150 registrants have received your order codes from McDonald's. For those who have not registered, we encourage you to register to take home your own Big Mac voucher. For those registered, participate in the conversation for a chance to take home gifts from our sponsors. So what we have is a Commune coffee, exclusive coffee, 2 packs of that. Let's see, 20 packs of H&M, Simon Rocha collection, vouchers from Lazada, gift vouchers from PH, Store.PH, and our very own SheCreative planners from Belle de Jour, 15 bags from Johnson & Johnson, 5 bottles of Jacob's Creek wine, and a delicious Bahn Mi coffee kit. So do join us and you'll get a chance to get that. So to be eligible for these prizes, please register by clicking on the link posted in our comments section or scan this QR code that's on the screen right now. An exciting collection of freebies awaits the most active viewers today. So we look forward to having you in today's session. We have faced a world filled with disruption since 2020. And as we continue to adapt and innovate, this time also inspires introspection. As International Women's Month draws to a close, we take inspiration from some of the most influential and passionately creative Filipinas who are instrumental in exploring the possibilities of an all-women network towards shaping strong community and female leaders in Asia. I am thrilled this morning to present to you 6 incredible speakers from the field of marketing, art, design, business, and advertising, as they showcase what women do. Leading today's roundup of leaders and creators is McDonald's Philippines Managing Director, Margot Torres, Choose to Lead Women Leadership, followed by Isa Lorenzo, Gallery Director of Silverlens. She'll talk about who wants to be a gallerist. Then we have Rita Nazareno, Creative Director of Zacarias 1925 on craft and creation. Then Roxanne Maniquez, graphic designer and illustrator. She'll talk about beginning, middle, and endemic, my illustration journey with Flora. Then we have Rosario Juan, who's a social media strategist, cafe owner, coffee roaster, and cat lover, and of course, the founder of Commune Cafe and Bar. She'll talk about the pandemic grind, entrepreneurship, coffee, and Corona. And our final speaker for today would be Merle Jaime. She's the global president of Dentsu Gary Bowen on WFH, Work from Home. After our speakers' talks, our guests will be taking some of your most pressing questions in a Q&A session. So please type in your questions in the comment section and we'll try to answer as many as we can. So without much further ado, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker leading this session. Margot Torres will talk about Choose to Lead Women Leadership. It's McDonald's Philippines Managing Director. She's the first woman who has held this position in a company's 40 years of operations in the Philippines. Prior to this, she was the Executive Vice President and Deputy Manager Director and Chief Marketing Officer. Known and respected in the marketing communications industry, she's a 2-time president of both the Philippine Association of National Advertisers, PANA, and the Internet Mobile Marketing Association of the Philippines, IMAP, where she was also the first female president. Through the years, Margot has received several recognitions from different award bodies, such as the Asian Marketing Federation's Women Marketer of the Year in 2019 and Campaign Asia's Women Leading Charge Award in 2018. And she was one of the recipients of PANA's Lifetime Achievement Award called Gawat Panata. And most recently, she received the CEO Excel Award from the International Association of Business Communications. Margot is also the lead of I'm sure you've seen this campaign, the Ingat Angat Tayong Lahat campaign, which aims to boost consumer confidence amid the pandemic to revive and reopen the economy safely. Margot is dedicated to culture, digital transformation, and women empowerment, encouraging women to recognize their unique strengths, embrace them to drive positive change in the workplace, in the industry, and in nation building. Let us all give a warm round of applause to Margot as she talks about Choose to Lead on women leadership.
One. Thank you, Angel and Adobo, for having me today. Angel gave me 15 minutes to share my career journey. I have been in the industry for quite a while. Prior to joining McDonald's, I started my career in Unilever and continued on consumer marketing, handling brands like Pepsi. Then I moved over to technology with Pocket Bell, Edsa Mail, and Smart. And in between, I had short stints in an advertising agency with McCann Erickson, a distributor with Zurich Inchcape, and a pharmaceutical company with Wyeth Consumer Healthcare. As a marketer, I have picked up a few McNuggets of wisdom, and I will share this with you during this breakfast virtual roundtable. The first is let's get ready to humble. Throughout my career, I have learned that while there is no secret sauce to leadership, there are fundamental traits every leader must have: integrity, conviction, consistency, and empathy. But the trait that trumps them all is humility. When you lead, temporary failure is inevitable. Humility helps you embrace this. And when you do, you can only get better. Humility not only benefits oneself, but others as well. It is that mindset of knowing that while you are in a leadership role, you are not the most important person. Because the most important person is the next leader who has yet to emerge. The next leader that you will inspire, and it knows no labels and no gender. I grew up professionally looking up to leaders like Steve Jobs. I really was in awe of his vision and passion. I also have a lot of admiration for the Hyatt Global CEO, Marco Torres, because of his humility and humanity. I also have a lot of respect for Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg. And she has a great definition of leadership, so let me read it. It is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts in your absence. Who I am now is a product of being shaped by my past bosses, mentors, and colleagues. While I may no longer be working with the same people, my learnings from them help influence the decisions I make today. That is why, now that I'm in a position of leadership, I put a lot of emphasis on mentorship. A good leader knows how important mentorship is because it empowers the people in the organization. It allows them to grow and gain confidence with the decisions they make. This empowerment is built on trust and underscores the importance of collaboration. I choose to lead because it provides me an opportunity to shape the future of our industry. This passion goes beyond the corners of McDonald's and our industry. And I participate in initiatives like Ingat-Angat Tayong Lahat, where I chose to lead not only to help our economy bounce back, but also to share my expertise to support a worthy cause that can make a meaningful difference. I continue to be grateful for the wealth of knowledge from my mentors, and I hope to impart the same to the next generation. More than the knowledge, I'm very grateful for the values that they have instilled in me. And these values include hard work and excellence. It starts with finding your core and by being unapologetically you. This leads me to my next McNugget of wisdom. Number 2 is retype the stereotype. One of the first things we should realize and accept is we have no control over how people perceive us. But we do have control on how we perceive ourselves. We must change the narrative by turning stereotypes into limitless strengths. And that includes the narrative within our own minds. Any person has remarkable traits, and they can harness this into their advantage. For women, for example, these are a strong attention to detail, a high level of empathy, and being innately intuitive. By making this simple change in perspective, the typical traits of women, where they are boxed into a stereotype, can become opportunities and pave the way for their success. Working moms are a great example of this because they are the ultimate multitaskers. Their liability of having to juggle countless responsibilities should definitely be recognized as a strength. And when companies start to recognize these strengths and learn to support them, they will unlock the full potential of their workforce. I am a testament to this, being a mom of 2 kids, and I have no mom guilt despite being very involved in my career as they were growing up. I owe this greatly to choosing the right supportive husband, as well as to my bosses and the culture of McDonald's, as they provided an opportunity for women like me to lead while carrying out my role as a mother. While women are challenged with stereotypes, one should not be limited by it and must continue to affirm herself, especially if she knows that she is capable, focused on hard work, and guided by a high standard of excellence. Skills, expertise, potential have no labels. And over the course of my career, I continue to hold on to this belief, which leads me to my last and third McNugget of wisdom. Number 3, no leaders and no labels. There has been a lot of conversation and attention on diversity, inclusion, and equality. Diversity should go beyond just having equal representation in terms of gender and race. As a firm believer of no labels, we should transcend the meaning of diversity to thought and expertise. By expanding how we talk about diversity, it will become more evident how gender equality is not a problem, but a real solution to many of our needs in the workplace. I can proudly say that we champion that belief in McDonald's, evidenced by our gender-equal workforce and strong presence of women in the leadership team. From the incredibly ambitious and brave women who have set an example, to the men, namely our chairman and founder, Dr. George Yang, and our president and CEO, Kenneth Yang, who have always made it a point to go beyond gender and to focus on the individual's merits and what they bring to the table. Personally, my expanded view of diversity is applied even at home. Diversity in thought and expertise come in many forms, shapes, relationships, and even age. As new forms of technology emerge, I benefit from my kids' knowledge as digital natives, and they help me navigate through so I could best understand how to apply it in this fast-changing marketing landscape. By expanding my view on diversity, I have seen and benefited from not subscribing to a monopoly of ideas. It can come from different backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives. I have learned that it can come from the youngest, quietest, and least experienced person in a room. I have been in the industry for a while and I have seen it evolve. I have chosen to lead because I am passionate about the work I do, about shining a light on ideas and people for meaningful change. I want to provide the same opportunities that were given to me, and I have chosen to lead so that I could, in my own little way, help give birth to the next generation of leaders and truly make a difference to our country. I believe in the millennials and the Gen Zs who are not defined by labels. We should learn from them that these labels and stereotypes are unnecessary and unwelcome, and that with sheer tenacity, focus, knowledge, and grit, you can choose to lead. And when we embrace a culture where everyone, no matter the gender, can choose to lead, then everyone wins. Good morning, everybody.
Well, good morning, Margot, and thank you so much for that, for her McNuggets of wisdom. And she talked about humility, retyping the stereotype, talking about no labels, and talking about inclusivity and diversity. We know she's passionate, and she said she wants to shed the light on ideas for meaningful change. So thank you very much for that, Margot. Well done. I hope we all learned from her. So now we have the second speaker. We have Isa Lorenzo, Gallery Director of Silverlens, and who wants to be a gallerist. I'm sure some of you have already visited her gallery at Silverlens on Chino Rosas Avenue, and a lot of the exhibits have been quite remarkable. So throughout history, women have been subjects of paintings. And today we recognize those who drive art forward. One of these women is Isa Lorenzo, the well-rounded gallery director of Silverlens Gallery. Do you know that she's also a licensed doctor with a medical degree from the University of the Philippines, Philippine General Hospital, and a master's in media studies degree from the New School University? She founded Silverlens in 2004, overseeing an active program for artist representation, exhibitions, collaborations, art fairs, and commissions in the Philippines and Southeast Asia. Isa is a strong advocate of contemporary arts education. So she also includes herself in regular talks and panel discussions and put them into the gallery programming. She was named as the town's, which is the Outstanding Women in the Nation's Service awardee in 2016. So let's give Isa a hand as she talks about who wants to be a gallerist.
My name is Isa Lorenzo, and I'm the co-director and founder of Silverlens Galleries here in Manila. I've been doing this job since 2004. The company was founded, or the gallery was founded in 2004, so we are now in our 17th year. This talk is supposed to be giving insights into, I guess, the art world here in the Philippines and how it works and the role that I play in it. So just to give you a brief background about myself, I went to school at the UP. I took BS Biology, and then I went on to do a medical degree at the Philippine General Hospital. And I took my internship, and when I did the boards, I finished the boards, I passed the boards, and then I retired. And I went on to do something else because I knew that in my heart, I really did not want to be a doctor for a number of reasons. And then I went to art school. This journey took several years because I didn't jump into art school. I went and worked at different media companies to try and figure out what kind of creative field I wanted to enter. And from that couple of years, I decided I wanted to be in the visual arts. And I did my master's in New York at the Parsons School of Design. I was there for 3 years. And I worked at different jobs in galleries, at the International Center of Photography. And then I came back to the Philippines hoping to be an artist, only to find out that there were other plans in my cards, so to speak. So I opened Silverlens Gallery in 2004, really as a professional art gallery that represented artists and was in partnership with them to get their work exhibited and seen by as many people as possible, to grow their audiences and to get them collected. by different collectors and institutions. So that's pretty much, in a nutshell, my story. I was a doctor, I became an artist, and then I became a gallerist. So 17 years later, every day is still a day of learning. I never went to school for what we do. I don't know if there's even a course that teaches the business of selling art or, or showing art. Everyone knows what a curator is, what an art director is, but really how many people know what a gallerist is? So that's what I am. I am a gallerist. Because the visual arts is highly unregulated and only recently has it become professional. We learn by doing. We have set our own best practices here in Silverlens, and we stick to them. And we expect our partners, our artists, the other galleries we collaborate with, to also uphold this set of standards, both in ethics and in practice. I can't stress it any more that we learn by doing. The visual arts is a field that has a lot of moving parts. It really takes a village to get an artwork seen. So this constant cooperation, constant collaboration, constant networking, and that's how things happen. You all sort of hold hands and make things happen. So another insight that I've had in my time as a gallerist is to make as many friends as possible. Professional friends especially. I mean, professional friends meaning people who have the same mindsets, who are moving in the same direction, to get the best work seen by, quality audiences or just audiences in general. Just based on the gallery's representation of artists, we have a 50-50 representation. 50% are male and 50% are female. We really didn't plan it that way. It just sort of happened. Yeah. Do I feel discrimination in this industry? I can't say I do, and I'm grateful for that. But I also can't say that we're treated better because we're women. I guess like in any industry, if you want to stay in this field or this business, you need to be street smart and you need to be tough. At the end of the day, it's still common sense. 3 things. So first is physically the spaces got bigger. And then the audiences also got bigger. So there's a very healthy local audience, and then there is a growing regional and international audience. And I think that the artists are also much more adventurous in the art that they make. Here at Silverlens, we show artists who are not just painters or photographers. We like working with artists who are contemporary artists who really work with different mediums. So regardless of what the medium is, the idea or the concept is what is key or what anchors their whole practice. So it's much more exciting, much more dynamic. No 2 artists are alike. We don't have artists who specialize in one thing or the other. It's just that they are contemporary visual artists. The business of art in the Philippines is growing. We have our audience, our potential audience is huge. We have a lot of talent. Our artists are super creative. In fact, I've always said that the backbone of Southeast Asia in visual art is the Philippines and Indonesia. So the money might be in Singapore, might be in Taiwan or in Hong Kong, but the talent is definitely from the Philippines, and it's clear that people know this more and more. For as long as we become more and more professional, then we really have a huge way to grow. Yeah, it can only get bigger. Well, a lot of the future is going to be online. A lot of our time now, a lot of our life now is online. So we were fortunate enough with my partner Rachel to really embrace the online world. We hired our first media manager in 2013 or 14, way before the pandemic. So there was already a plan in place, and the pandemic just pushed it to the inevitable, which is to create an online life for Silverlens and our artists. Of course, still founded on an on-site life, but online we create so much content about the work, about the artists, and it's really creating an experience virtually, with the hope that they will get to the gallery physically and see the works and stand before, a painting or a drawing in person, because really there's nothing that beats standing in front of a picture in real life. It was an accident. I really didn't mean to be here, but it was a happy accident. There was no corporate ladder that I climbed, nor was there any mentor that I followed, nor was there even any opportunity that I chased. It was a necessity. I felt that there was a huge need for a professional commercial gallery that represented Philippine visual artists. And that's what we did. We built the structure, and we trained people how to run it. And we still are training people how to run it or how to be in this. But it's, again, we learn by doing. And every day we learn something new. It's fun, it's challenging, and it's super satisfying to see a beautiful show go up. And then to be able to place that in collections, owned by people who love art as much as we do. The gallery is a safe space. We are very, very careful about our COVID protocols. When people book an appointment, they have the whole slot to themselves. There's lots of space. And again, it's been amazing to be able to see art in the middle of all of this. Come to the gallery. Silverlens is open Tuesday to Saturdays. We are open by appointment. So if you follow us on our website, silverlensgalleries.com, or on our social media channels, on Instagram, it's Silverlens Galleries. On Facebook, it's Silverlens Galleries. On Twitter, same thing. The website is great. It's just been completely revamped, and it's really great for engagement and looking at art. We have Art for Philippines, April 20 to 30 on site here. It's at Silverlens. So please come and see. Follow us. Thank you very much. Thank you to Adobo and Angel Guerrero for including me in this creative network for women talk. Bye.
Well, thank you very much, Isa. Yes, I've been to the gallery during the lockdown, able to watch the exhibit. There were there are plenty of protocols, but the space was incredible. Able to watch the exhibit. I even brought myself a bottle of wine to share with my friends who came along with me. So, like she says, there's nothing like seeing art right in front of you. And she also mentioned the need for, a professional gallery to represent visual artists. The important thing that I think she shared with us is we learn by doing. That's how things happen. You all hold hands and sort of make things happen, and meet as many professional friends as possible, people with the same mindset and moving in the same direction. So again, thank you very much, Isa, and we'll definitely make an effort to visit Silverlens Gallery. Our next speaker is Miss Rita Nazareno. She's creative director of SheCreative 1925. She's going to talk about craft and creation. Rita is a former Emmy Award-winning television producer turned creative director. Rita is at the helm of SheCreative 1925, and it's a bag and accessories brand that merges contemporary design techniques with the time-honored craft of hand weaving from SE Vizcarra, which is their family business. Zacharias was shown at the Maison d'Object in Paris, Premier Classe in Paris, Petit Firenze, Super Milan, Salon et Mobile, the Artling at ArtStage Singapore, the Watari Museums on Sundays, and a lot of other places where her work and her craft has been shown. Rita, along with Gabby Lichauco, are creative directors of Saitem, Design Philippines Kindred Design Collective, premiering at Maison d'Object in Paris in September 2019, and took part in the 2020 M&O Digital Fair. Rita also teaches design studio and creative process workshops and holds design talks for institutions such as Watara Museums on Sunday, Tokyo, Museum of Contemporary Art and Design Manila, plus Nomi Network Phnom Penh. Here to talk about craft and creation, let us welcome Rita Nazareno.
Hello, I am Rita Nazareno. I'm the creative director of Zacarias 1925. We make hand-woven bags and home accessories. So what you see on screen are some of the bags that we've made. This is from a collection called the Shields. They're backpacks and you open them from the back with a leather flap. So the Shields actually started out as an artwork. I was commissioned to do a wall installation for the Shangri-La at the fort. So these discs or shields then transitioned into bags. But the best part of the process for these particular shields for me was how I sat with their weavers and had explained to them how I wanted a variety of weaves that were very much out of the norm. So I showed them installations and paintings from my travels. So one of them in particular was a salon wall of drawings by Cy Twombly. About 5 different weavers came up with a variety of weaves from the spirals, the watermelons, the salakot, as well as the houndstooth pattern. These are some of the bags from the Zacarias 1925 Architectonic Collection. So in my design process, I don't really follow trends. Instead, I look at subjects that interest me. Some of those are contemporary art and architecture. So in terms of material and construction, we use wicker, we use chair cane and with leather details. So there's this technique that we came up with. So we weave leather and wicker together with the leather sandwiched by wicker on each side. So this gives more form to the leather. So the rightmost bag in gray on the bottom is called the Bilbao. It was actually the first bag I designed and also I think still one of our most coveted ones. So we've always made smaller home furniture and accessories, and you know the pandemic has made us make more home pieces than bags. These tables are a collaboration with a dear friend of mine, Miguel Rosales. So each leg of the table consists of a variety of different weaves. So we wanted to come up with a variation of the shield bag, but in one literal leg. So the workshop that where everything is made was founded by my grandmother, Segundina Vizcarra, in 1925 in Manila, Philippines. My mother, Vicky, she's an only child, continued my grandmother's work. So my Lola started a hand embroidery studio when she was younger. My grandmother and my mother have always championed work made by hand. So that continues until this day. This is one of the works of my Lola. It's a trousseau made from piña that was the gift of the Philippines to Princess Elizabeth, now Queen Elizabeth, at her wedding to Prince Philip. So this is Lola's workshop. Some of the ladies working on those pieces. Today, this is a part of the workshop. It's a stone's throw from where my Lola was born in Baclaran. So this is on Rojas Boulevard. Some of our workers have been with us for 2 generations. That is Anna, one of our sewers, who have been working at the workshop for more than 20 years. So beside it is a picture of one of our weavers actually weaving the back of a shield bag. So everything is done in-house, from the metal framework of each bag to the weaving, sewing of the lining, and the leather attachments. So we use a variety of materials in our weaving. We also like using combinations. We have water, hyacinth, and cher cane. The top right is the wicker and leather I was telling you about. Wicker is our main material and the material that I work on most. The design process is also very interesting for me. I collaborate closely with our weavers, but also I enjoy collaborating with other artists and designers. So our weavers also enjoy it because they say it challenges them, and they think a lot of what I come up with is, for lack of a better word, funny. I would like to think they mean witty. This is one of my favorite collaborations with Garapata. So it's a multi-legged character drawn using very simple imagery and bold outlines. It's a street project by the artist Dex Fernandez. It speaks on the global infestation and commercialization of the worlds of art, design, and fashion. So the objects from Zakarapata brings Dex's drawings in this very surprising 3D wicker form. So there's sort of this simplicity that is born out of intricacy. One of the pieces actually in the first iteration of the collaboration is a 6-foot sculpture. It's a desk or a dry bar in the back. The artisans and I had a good time making this particular one. It was also very challenging, and we also enjoy when there's a wit to the pieces that we make. So in 2019, Saitam, who organizes Manila Fame and various trade shows overseas, they tasked me and a dear friend of mine, the very talented industrial designer, Gabi Lachauco, to work on the Philippine participation at Maison Etobje in Paris under Kindred Design Collective. Maison Etobje is a trade show that happens in Paris twice a year. The 2019 edition was quite a success. It's really so much fun. So Gabby and I were tasked to do it again, to work on the 2020 edition, but because of the pandemic, the fair didn't happen in Paris, but it became a digital one. So for the September 2020 edition of Kindred Design Collective for Maison Etobje, Gabby and I worked with 13 different companies with 13 very different techniques using a variety of different materials that they have really mastered. So a variety of aesthetics. So we put together, a very strong, cohesive selection that then will then be shown worldwide. So this is one of the photographs of the collective. We had to develop products and collections amidst the lockdown, so you really have to appreciate the resilience and the spirit that the team had. So from the manufacturers, whose factories were mostly in a skeletal crew, the Saitam team, the photography team, it was definitely a feat. But the reaction when we launched was really quite special. All of the companies had inquiries from all over the world, as well as locally, and from press. So, that was really pretty cool. So do check it out on the Maison Etobje online site, and check out Fame Plus, also the site. So we have, different virtual showrooms for many different manufacturers and designers. I'd like to point out some selections that Gabby and I have either designed, reimagined, or selected for the September 2020 edition for last year. This is from JB Woodcraft from Pampanga, one of the companies we worked with both in 2019 and last year, and we're going to continue again this year. So they have a very traditional, very Rococo aesthetic. So the factory is multi-generational. I think it's their third. This is third generation already. Actually, it's quite cool because their parents actually worked with my grandparents. So Gabby and I worked with JB to create this, a more contemporary line. We designed this hand-carved stool from them in an ombre finish. So I think the addition of a very contemporary line expands the market for them from a very traditional one that they've had for decades. This is Prado. So they did traditional designs on welded metal, and we designed and reimagined some of their welded metal crafts. These bugs are in black matte, and you could see what a contemporary aesthetic, what scale, and a very good stylist and a photographer can do. So this one is by Chanali, who does wooden busts. The face mask is, in a contrasting color gives it a very witty, very relevant approach to a traditional object. And for me, one of the most special brands, especially in the world for fine handcrafted furniture, is Imurio. They're a second generation family run workshop, and they continue this tradition using flame bent rattan, and it's headed by Tisha de Borja Samson, very dear friend of mine too, very talented. So I also wanted to share with you Itim, material manipulations in black, that Gabby and I worked on for Milan Design Week 2020. This was a special project for us, and we were very excited for it. The container of pieces for the design exhibition for Fori Salone in Milan had left Manila already and had arrived at the port in Italy in March, the same day that the lockdown was announced. So by June, Milan Design Week had been postponed, and the container came back to Manila. We were able to find a way to have the exhibit shown, and a big part of that was an online exhibit. So I urge you to take a look at that. It's a team effort by Saitem, by Homeroom Cooperative, by Afro, the designers and the manufacturers. So there's a short film on it, so I'd like to show that.
Washed in black, the objects ask that you take pause, that you come closer. If you move too quickly, as the world does, you'll miss its intricacies, its forms, and consequently, the stories embedded in its materials. The pieces in the show were once exhumed from mental and physical warehouses of outstanding Philippine designers, originally fated never to be seen. We unearthed them for Itim, ideas to be kept alive and meant to be felt. Our craftsmanship is our heritage. Our innovations in material manipulation is our continued legacy. Please, step into the shadows with us.
I thought that was a pretty cool short film, so hope you enjoyed that. For March 2021, Gabby and I came up with a very different concept that just launched. We are working on the September edition coming up as well as Fame Plus in October. So we're very excited about that. These are some images by Vince's co-studio for Saitem. You'll see pieces such as Bone China by CSM, wooden products by Celestial Arts, and pieces by Natural Legacy and Chanali. So for my personal brand, for Zacarias 1925, what's new is I'm doing more home accessories. These are magazine and file folders in this very luscious, what I call the monolith weave that looks like crumpled wicker, but they're, hand woven, as well as a cord cover panel. Only because I was stuck at home for so long that I was so annoyed at seeing all the cables and cords in the saksakan. So I designed this cord cover panel to cover that, have a place to put the power strip and the charging stuff on top. So there you go. Here are some very colorful baskets and also a mini try bag, a variety of weaves. And here are some buckets that actually do very well in Japan. These photos for Zacarias 1925 are actually by my very, very talented niece, Bea, who was finishing her studies at California College of Arts. She does now my catalogs too, and I'm very happy about that. So proud of her. So before I wrap this up, I just wanted to talk about a few things that has helped me in the last few years with Zacarias 1925, with Kindred Design Collective, with Saitem, as well as myself in general. So hopefully I can continue striving towards these things. And one of these, the first thing for me that's very important is of connection. Whether in TV or in design and in manufacturing, emotional connection is so important. I think that's where, designing from what you know, from what you're interested in and what you're passionate about comes into play. And I think the stories that you tell through your design, through your branding. So there's always good to connect the past as well to the now, and somehow that connects to the future. So there's always an interesting story there. And connecting with ourselves too. The pandemic has taught us to really look inward and in our own homes and in our own selves. Another thing for me that's very important is community, how the people around you are, how you've touched people. How much money does one need, right? I mean, what good is a lot of money if the people around you are in dire straits? So, it's really tough this last year and this coming year. But, there's a great responsibility in us. You just can't be too greedy. So for me, a compassionate human, someone who has touched lives, that is, very special, very important. I guess, the less profit, more heart, maybe in my mind, and treat people better, treat the environment better. Those things will ultimately come back to you. I think your consumers, your clients, they will feel that and they will know that. And I promise you'll sleep better at night. So, I guess it's never too late to be better and to do better. We're never perfect, but to try and to strive for it, I think, that's part of purpose, right? Actually, Mark Twain wrote the most poignant thing for me when he said, the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. So, what other things are important to me? There's so much out there. When we are able to travel, or when we were able to travel, we saw so much. With the internet, there's still so much more to see. I guess we have to learn how to filter and to edit what you see out there. Depth and research, I think, are very important. I think the importance of design and aesthetic. Let's strive to put out there, well-designed and executed pieces. I tell this to my students that you don't want to be putting out things out there that will be in the landfill in 6 months. The environment is in shambles already. We need to take care of it for the generations to come, as well as our own. But I guess, we also have to demand better. And this is across the board. There's so much out there locally that is very good, and they've elevated their craft, and hopefully we will have more, we'll see more. The design has to be top notch. The depth has to be deeper. We have to have pride of ownership, and what are the ways to elevate ourselves to the next levels? How do we do that as consumers? I mean, we can support things like Fame Plus and Artefino and Katutubo, and we have to listen to creatives. During the lockdown, we thrived because of what we put in us. We listened to music, we read books, we watched movies and TV, and we looked at art, and we learned how to cook. From a business perspective, when I was working in TV, first as a creative services producer for Fox 11 in Los Angeles, and then as the creative services director for the NBC affiliate in Houston, Texas, we were always the first department for a budget cut. It was always the creative services department. Why? Because, creatives could not be quantified. We didn't bring in money like sales did. But, we made the station graphics. We provided the emotional connection between the station and the community. So I guess you have to understand and let those creative juices flow. It's not some formula. It's not because it worked before that it'll work again. That's the thing, I think, with a creative mind. It will innovate, it will be unique, and it will be special. So I guess, find ways to invest, especially in people. Mentorship is very important, inspiring others, there's enough light, there's enough sun for everyone. Sharing your light, I think that in turn will let others shine. And, I've heard that before, and, it's certainly very poignant. I think it's important that we share our knowledge and experience when we can. Hopefully someone else can take that kind of energy that you've put out, that passion that you have, and get inspired by it. That, they make their own special, distinct version of whatever it is that they do, what they want to create, what they want to express. So, with that, I think I talked a lot. I think I'm actually over. I'm sorry. With that, thank you to Adobo Magazine for inviting me to do this. I have Instagram and email on the screen, I think, if anyone else wants to continue this dialogue and have any questions. I think there's a Q&A, so see you in a bit.
So much, Rita. She's speaking to us from Hawaii, where she is right now. And what I liked is the fact that, she's a Filipina who has shown her work, and it's taken a leap into the global stage. And the fact that, she's advocating that we have to elevate our craft. We have to use and present top-notch design. And the pride of ownership, I think, is also a key message that she's sending out. And what I like is, she talked about when she challenges the weavers that she works with. And the element of wit is actually in her designs. And I can vouch for that. I've been and seen her bags at one of the places in Caravan. And I got this bag, actually. I got one of her award-winning bags, which is the Shield. And I'm such a proud owner of it. And you can see the level of craft. She talks about material manipulation, the fact that she uses wicker. And I think an important message that she talked about was to have compassion and be more human and connect, emotional connection. And our legacy is important. And the fact that, this lockdown has allowed us to thrive because creativity is so important. Well, thank you again, Rita, and we'll get back to you in the Q&A. Next, we have Roxanne Maniquez, graphic designer and illustrator. And she's going to talk about beginning, middle, and endemic. Her journey, her illustration journey with Flora. Roxanne is a graphic designer and illustrator, and she's known for her work featuring the endemic flora and fauna in brilliant contrast and masterful strokes. She was also at Plus 63 Design, and Roxanne was behind the branding and illustration projects of brands such as Uniqlo, The Grid, Food Market, and those beautiful chocolates, artisan chocolates, the packaging of Theo and Philo, Alt Philippines, and Paprika Cosmetics. She's an independent illustrator. She's also known to be collaborating with brands like Charles & Keith, Cole Haan, Doc Martens, Janji and Jordan, and has also designed for brands such as Trader's Lounge Souvenir and Green Partners. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for being with us. May I present to you Roxanne Maniquez.
Hello everyone. My name is Roxanne Maniquez. I am a graphic designer and illustrator based in Bulacan. Today's talk is titled Beginning, Middle, and Endemic, My Illustration Journey with Flora. I'd like to share with you all my experience growing up around plant life and how I continue to cultivate my relationship with Flora as an independent illustrator. Let's start with the beginning. I was born in Bulacan. It is a province next to Manila, and there are a lot of greeneries and open spaces where I am. My lolo and lola from my father's side, and my lola from my mother's side, love planting trees and flowers. I guess they're what you call people with a green thumb. In the house where I grew up, we had a huge backyard. My lolo planted it with different kinds of trees and vegetables, and I remember picking duhat and makopa when I was a kid. Meanwhile, my lola loves orchids. Right in front of our house was an orchid garden, and the drobiums perched on rows of stumps greet you when you step outside the door. A few more steps and you'll see our grotto with bougainvillea surrounding Mama Mary. We also had helisonias, or what my Lola calls birds of paradise, lining our walls outside. I remember picking a lot of these and bringing them to school for the classroom's outdoor. My childhood was filled with greens. Even when we moved houses, the plants would follow. I grew up around people who love plants, and I think that's where the interest came from. But doing what I do now was different from when I started being a freelance illustrator in 2013. I didn't plan on becoming an illustrator to begin with. Drawing flowers wasn't intentional. In my earlier works, it was present, but it wasn't really the focus. And then later, I started to draw more and more of them. I wasn't good at drawing other subjects, so maybe that's why I also focused on flowers. These are for different brands I worked with while I was freelancing. Aside from freelancing, I was also working at Plus63 Design Co. I was there for almost 7 years, and I worked as a designer and illustrator. One of the very first projects I worked on was Theo and Philo. For those who don't know, Theo and Philo is an award-winning Filipino company that proudly sources its cacao locally, crafting flavor combinations that are uniquely Filipino. Our task was to do a refresh on its visual identity. From something minimalist, we changed it to illustrated different packaging designs. To celebrate the Philippines' rich biodiversity, vibrant patterns are used on the packaging, inspired by a mix of native and endemic flora, fauna, and the ingredients used in each product. This is where I started getting exposed to our native plants. I also started reading about our endemic species. For example, this artwork is for the hot chocolate packaging. It's made up of a canopy of cacao trees, the Philippine brown deers, Visayan spotted deers, and the Philippine fairy bluebird. This is the artwork applied to the product. Another design is this gift box combining the different native animals we have used so far. It is fun learning about native and endemic species while I was doing all of these things for Theo and Philo. Another project I worked on at Plus63 was for Uniqlo. In 2018, we worked with Anonymous, a design studio based in Singapore, to create illustrations for Uniqlo's flagship store in the Philippines. We produced 5 illustrations all in all, with 5 different themes. These were applied on paper bags and sensu fans, which were given away during the store opening. I was assigned work. This illustration is an ode to all our workers, the farmers, builders, teachers, designers, street cleaners, and countless others who tend to the city's growth. It celebrates these people's vital contribution to a city that flourishes through the virtue of hard and honest work. Our Manila is an ever-branching tree that wears as its crown the fruits of our labor. This is the first time I drew a lot of people in my work. It was a challenge of bringing in this new element to my floral subjects. The flowers and leaves used around the artwork are from malabulak, a Philippine native tree. Like I mentioned, I was also freelancing on the side. In 2018, I was given the opportunity to work with Doc Martens Philippines for their DIY campaign. This is the first time I drew common and native plants in my freelance work. I included caballero, calabasa, bougainvillea, saging, makahiya, and banaba in the artwork. For the project, I painted their iconic boots with all of these flowers. I'm really happy how this turned out. It made me want to explore drawing more native endemic flowers in my illustrations. In the same year, I was looking for more interesting flora to draw, and I didn't have to look further. I wanted to make a Philippine endemic map made up of our endemic flowers. I was thinking of assigning 1 to 2 native flowers per region. On the left is a printed map where I plotted the flowers. and on the right is a sketch of how I wanted the map to look like. While researching, this is how I found out about Coast Digital Flora of the Philippines. It is a treasure trove of information about plants in our country. It was a lot of work to do, and I have only managed to draw Region 1 and 2, but starting this project led me to collaborate with my friends on a zine that would embark me on my endemic flora journey. Bad Student Press is a risograph art and design studio that publishes works in riso. It was early 2019, and they reached out to me and other artists to collaborate on zines for the Tokyo Art Book Fair in July. They wanted to incorporate the Philippines in the works selected, so for me, they thought of expanding my work on the endemic flora map into a zine. And this is what we came up with: Endemic Flora of the Philippines. It catalogs 10 endemic flowers in the Philippines, and it's complete with easily digestible information about each plant and where can they be found. And from there, I also started doing endemic flora distribution maps. The first one I illustrated were rafflesias. It was inspired by original map made by Drs. Julie Barcelona, Dr. Balete, Dr. Cajano, Dr. Leonard Ko, and Dr. Peter Pelser. I came across this map while researching for the zine. This is the map I came up with. I decided to draw the flowers in top view so it's easy to compare the different species to each other. This was also printed by Bad Student. I wanted to continue making flower maps, so to the next one, I did slipper orchids. I finished this July 2020, a year after I made the rafflesia map. These were sold as limited edition risograph posters. I have also expanded the slipper orchids to merch like this scarf. Working on these flowers led me to interesting projects. A brand I have never imagined would collaborate with me using this style approached me last year to work on an artwork for their store launch. Jordan Manila opened its very first flagship store in Southeast Asia in BGC late last year. Nike Philippines commissioned me and 3 other artists to work on artworks for the store. I was very excited when I got their message, but also nervous because it didn't seem like a very natural fit at first glance. I wasn't sure what I could offer because I paint mostly flora and fauna. But the client told me they were looking for something different and that my work would fit perfectly. What I created was an artwork that is a mix of Jordan elements, like its iconic shoes, plus endemic native and tropical flora and fauna. Philippine iconographies, like the jeepney, chinelas, and makeshift backboards are also included. This is the artwork that is being used as a wallpaper for the store. The palette is inspired by Jordan's red color and our Philippine flag. The sun and 3 stars are present as well. The black version of the artwork was used for the packaging of the limited edition Jordan 4 Retro Manila shoes. This is the shoe seen in the store, and on the right is my very own ones. I am really happy with this collaboration. I never thought I'd draw one of our endemic hornbills alongside iconic Air Jordans. I'm thankful for the opportunity to showcase our very own flora and fauna for a global brand. So what's next for me? It doesn't end with endemics or flowers. I want to continue to be better at what I do and explore more possibilities that my work can offer. I'm looking forward to where this journey will take me. Here's to the future. Thank you so much for listening to my talk, and I hope you guys have a great day.
Well, thank you very much, Rexen. Amazing work and craft, and you can see how growing up with fruits and flowers and plants in the Philippines helped her in her appreciation of flora and fauna and her journey and her craft and the vibrance of her colors. I think you should take a look at her endemic map where she maps out the flowers and plants throughout the Philippines. I was privileged to have gotten a copy when she presented during Graphica Manila last time. And I just want to share with you, I was with Stefan Sagmeister, who was also in Manila for Graphica. And we were sitting together. And then when Rexen presented, because he listened and viewed some of the talks in Graphica, when he saw Rexen's work, he said, she's incredible. And then he actually, in his Instagram feed, posted some of her work. So well done on that, Rexen. And congratulations. And thank you again for sharing with us your journey with flora and fauna. And we'll have you back again during the Q&A. Next in line is Rosario Juan. We call her Ross. She's a social media strategist, cafe owner, coffee roaster, and very importantly, cat lover. She's also the founder of Commune Cafe and Bar. I'm sure many of us have been there. It's in Poblacion, and we enjoy her coffee and her breakfast and her food, and it's the kind of place you really enjoy. She's going to talk about pandemic grind, entrepreneurship, coffee, and Corona. So in this discussion of what women do, we celebrate women who dare to be different, especially those with a cause. So Rosario Juan is the founder of Commune Cafe and Bar in Makati City. And you know that's one of the earliest third-wave independent cafes in the city that focuses, importantly, on Philippine coffee. And growing up in a family of entrepreneurs, Rosario's story is one of connection, authenticity, and purpose. Going against the grain in large chains and Western menus, Rosario created a community of people to gather and learn more about local coffee. Rosario uses her expertise in social media strategy in helping uplift the landscape of Philippine coffee. She's a member of the International Women's Coffee Alliance and works closely with the Philippine Coffee Board, helping provide educational and livelihood support to local coffee farmers. Since the pandemic, Rosario has helped launch and operate Frontline Feeders program for the Philippines and growing the coffee home brewers community, which now has amazingly 23,000 members strong. So let us give Rosario, Ross as we call her, a warm round of applause as she talks about the pandemic grind, entrepreneurship, coffee, and Corona.
Good morning, everyone. I am Rosario Juan. I am the Chief Extractor of Coffee at Commune. I am a social media strategist and a woman entrepreneur. I'm speaking to you guys today from Commune. We're here at our roastery. Right in front of me, we have the cafe, and behind me, we have our roasting machine, our coffee roasting machine. And I have a cup of coffee here. I hope you guys are on coffee too, because it's going to be an interesting morning. Today, we will talk about the pandemic grind. That's what the year has been like. We're still at it. It's been very challenging times for sure. It really stretched our creativity, our resourcefulness, but it has also been an amazing time for us to grow as a team and as a company. So I'd like to share a little story of how things went for Commune this past year. So this is Commune. We're a cafe located in Poblacion. We're a cafe and restaurant, and we do serve some alcohol too, but we are primarily a coffee shop that proudly serves locally grown coffee. So we source our coffee directly from the farmers all over the Philippines. We roast it in-house. We prepare it for you here in the store. But how did my journey in coffee begin? So a friend of mine once asked me, how did you get started in coffee? And so I thought about it, and I realized it was probably that first time I was in Italy. I was about 13 years old, and then my parents were telling me that when you're in Italy, you drink your espresso at the bar, and you have your quick snack there. Because the moment you take a table and sit down, there'll be a table charge and the prices will all be different. That's why we passed by a cafe one morning and we saw people just in and out the cafe, chugging their espressos quickly at the bar. And so I had to try it out for myself. I went to the coffee bar with €1, tried the espresso, and boy, was I shocked. Was I shocked about the flavor and everything, and I suppose the caffeine. But I realized that what initially got me interested in coffee was a bit superficial at that time. It was just the sophistication. It felt so chic and adult. And it was the entire lifestyle around coffee that was really mysterious to me. So that's what drew me to coffee. But what really kept me passionate about coffee was my experience with a coffee company a couple of years down the line. I was in university and I was interning for my aunt, who was then with a coffee shop of her own, a coffee company. And she was also starting the Philippine Coffee Board. And working with the Philippine Coffee Board brought me to coffee farms, showed me the reality of, it's not even like, it's not bean to cup, it's like farm to cup, exactly what happens at the farm, how coffee is cultivated. And it also opened my eyes to all the challenges that our farmers are facing. At that time, many years ago, we were actually facing the possible extinction of coffee in the Philippines. So that's really what drew me in. There was just so much to learn about coffee. It was such a multifaceted industry. And I just wanted to be immersed in all of it. So that's me many years ago, trying to climb a coffee tree, an overgrown coffee tree. Fast forward to present. So then I worked with the coffee company. I did various jobs. I was in corporate communications, then marketing, and then operations. And then I was area manager for the same brand in Shanghai. In about 2009, I came back to the Philippines and was like, yeah, the food and beverage industry is no joke. It's a bit tired. So I said, I wanted to try the world of advertising. And so I got into digital marketing. I worked for a digital ad agency, and that's when I became a social media strategist. At that time, my dad would make jokes. He was like, what's your position again? And I was like, social media strategist. Like, you just made that up. And I kind of did, because at that time, it was about 2010. Social media roles were just starting in the country. And so we really were making our titles and job descriptions as we went along. Soon after, in about 2013, a space opened up. This was in Salcedo Village, similar to what our Poblacion shop looks like. It's at the corner with big windows. And my family, I come from a family of entrepreneurs, prodded me and said, why don't you open a coffee shop? Didn't you always want to open a coffee shop? At that time, I was really enjoying my time in the agency. We were doing work that was new at that time. And I was a bit hesitant at first, but I think that was my first major realization about entrepreneurship. You'll never really know when you're ready. There's no perfect time except that day when you're crazy enough to go, yeah, why not? Let's give it a shot. And so that's how Commune was born. And when we started Commune, I knew what I wanted it to be like. I knew what we wanted it to stand for. So for me, Commune is really all about coffee, and not just any coffee. Locally grown Philippine coffee, cultivated by local farmers and sourced directly from our local coffee farmers. So in this photo, you can see beans from different origins all over the Philippines. So we do grow coffee from north to south, and we would have a selection depending on what is available in the market or what harvest is available to us. Aside from coffee, Commune is also all about conversations. This is why I wanted the communal table, and now I like to joke about it. we were all about our communal table, but now everyone has to be socially distant. But commune is about conversations. I wanted a communal table so that people could sit. They could be strangers when they get there, but at the end of the day, they would have collaborated on projects, become new friends. And this is something we've seen happen in the past years. And aside from conversations, it is also a lot about community. So we also have a second floor space where we used to hold a lot of events. What you see here was a regular improv show with Silly People's Improv Theater or SPIT. And this was at least a monthly gig. So around 2019, this was happening almost every week. And it really created a sense of community. We also became what we like to call a community hub because we wanted to welcome different groups, provide them a space to perform, to meet, to finally meet each other in person if these were online communities. And this was also a Women's Month event we had a few years back with a lot of women baristas. And so in 2013, as I was saying, I finally had enough courage and I just bit the bullet and opened commune in Salcedo Village. So this was in Salcedo Village in 2013. However, it was a 2-story building that we were in. And in 2015, we had to move out because they were demolishing the building. It's now a 17-story building. I thought at that time that that would be my biggest challenge because we had to uproot ourselves only 2 years into the business. We had to move everything, find another location. At that time, we weren't even sure. When 2015 rolled in, we weren't even sure where we were going to move to yet. And then the fact that we had to be totally out of operations for several months as we transferred to a new location. At that time, it was my biggest challenge. I mean, running a business, being an entrepreneur, I like to say no day is alike. Every day will give you a new challenge, and everything else seemed small compared to having to uproot your store and move it to an entirely new location that we had to find still, no? But in 2015, after 3 months of being out of operations, we finally found a location. We were able to fix it up. And so we opened in 2015. First, on the second floor, we opened in portions because we had to renovate and everything. And the challenge there was, how do we communicate to everyone else that, hey, we didn't shut down, we're back, we just moved. After being out of sight for 3 months, how do we reconnect with everyone else? When we went through that hurdle and finally got in the groove of things again, and things were doing pretty great, and then Poblacion was really booming, the community was here, so vibrant, so active. Then the pandemic happened. And wow, there was nothing that could have prepared me for that. I mean, even my siblings, my parents, my aunt, they have not had to manage anything through a pandemic before. So we were all pretty much taken aback and on some days grasping at straws and not really knowing what to do. But it's not like we had a lot of time to panic. The lockdown happened in a matter of days, and we just really had to roll with it and take it one day at a time. So that now I mark 2020 also as the time that I opened our new store, Commune Online. We've always wanted to have an online store. That was always in the plans. Of course, we were very active in social media. Commune even became like my social media case study for a store that never really paid for advertising in traditional publications. We really just went full on social media. But we never got around to building our online store. We were so busy with our daily operations and running the events and all of that. But now we had to do it. So on the second day of the lockdown, we launched our website. And thank goodness we were already roasting in-house and we had green coffee stocks. So we I'm now going to use the favorite word of 2020 and 2021. We pivoted to selling more coffee beans for retail and not prepared beverages or the food that we used to sell to our dine-in customers. So this is commune before, totally accessible bar. You can watch the barista prepare your drinks. You could browse the pastries. To this version of post-pandemic commune, wherein we urge you to sanitize in every way possible. We take your temperature, and we've enclosed our entire bar in acrylic. I joked on day one when we got the acrylic that's okay, we're finally money changers now. But we dressed it all up in acrylic, social distancing, and a lot of the protocols. Well, all of the protocols observed. Luckily, we also have a second floor space which we can open up and connecting to our balcony, so that we really encourage all our customers to sit upstairs in an open air, in the alfresco area where there's better air circulation. So our balcony used to be a hotspot for smokers. Now it's a hotspot for everyone. And this is our online shop where we sold not just coffee, but other items that will let you help enjoy coffee at home. So we started selling milk as well, drippers, so you could do pour over coffee, filters, French presses, mugs. We had some special merchandise as well, kettles, and we had brew guides that would tell you how you could enjoy your coffee at home. We also had to adjust a lot. Everyone in the team had to, find another way to contribute because we weren't just running a coffee shop now. So that our barista became a social media manager. He would answer the questions on social media, which used to be, what time are you open? Is there parking? But now it's like, okay, I want to buy beans from you, but do I buy beans or do I buy it ground? This is what I have at home. How can I prepare coffee? So it became very technical coffee stuff. And then our staff who had motorbikes became delivery personnel. One cashier became a dispatcher. So everyone had to be really flexible and agile and perform different roles. We also got creative, and this is something that I'm quite proud of. I realized that selling in the online space, I also needed to have new items for the customers to be excited about. And so sometime in, I believe it is around June, we launched what I then called the Coffee Therapy Collection 2020. And what I did was I created new blends specifically for coffee therapy during these times. And each coffee had a different mood to it. So we had New Normal, which was not too strong and not too light either. We had Work From Home, WFH, which had the strongest caffeine level of all the three blends. And then we had Suspended Reality, which was a really super mellow kind of blend. It was intended to be a special collection and that we would pull it out after a few months. But it was received pretty well and they clamored for it. And so we ended up keeping New Normal and Work From Home. Suspended Reality as a crowd favorite, but we were using Sagada beans sourced directly from the farmer in Sagada, and they had little supply. So next harvest, we'll probably see this back. And we like the whole new look and feel that went with it as well. And of course, everything else on social media. This is what it was like pre-pandemic. We would have coffee enthusiasts here. We'll talk about coffee at length. We'll taste coffees together. But since they couldn't come anymore, I also ended up growing a community called Coffee Homebrewers. Now, this is a community I started in 2019 with no pandemic whatsoever in my mind. I just really wanted to know who among my friends were already brewing at home or in the office, so we could, there could be other people I could geek out over coffee with. This was an unexpected sort of space that welcomed so many people during the pandemic. We went from a couple of hundred people to 24,000 members as of today. And it actually became sort of like a safe space where everyone who wanted to talk about coffee could come and talk about it, whether you're a total noob, a beginner, or someone who considers himself as a coffee connoisseur. Everyone would share brewing tips or what they're using at home, what coffee they're tasting in this community. But one beautiful thing that really came out of this was the fact that the interest in Philippine coffee was at an all-time high. During the pandemic, there was a move to really support local enterprises to help each other, get through it. And that's what we saw happening in this community. Everyone started looking for Philippine coffee, so that since there was a demand, a lot of the roasters and the shops started featuring it as well. And we also have farmers in the group who would tell us about their harvest and everything. So it really got more conversations going around Philippine coffee, and a lot of people really consuming it at home. Again, this is what it looked like pre-pandemic. You go to a coffee shop and you order, and most of the coffee drinkers were really coffee shop goers and not so much home brewers. But this is what it evolved into. People suddenly have coffee corners now. They have amassed quite a number of coffee making equipment and have continued to try different coffees, not just from commune, but from other micro roasters like us. And this is what it used to look like. We would have coffee classes here. But now this is what our coffee classes look like. As with anything else, I guess to a certain extent, it was a bit comforting to know that we weren't going through this pandemic alone. This was something we were experiencing with the rest of the world, so that people were also more likely to help each other, to support each other, which is a good thing. There is more understanding and compassion going around, which definitely helped a lot. And for entrepreneurs like myself, it was really, being able to communicate with the team clearly, trying to be as united as possible in the fight for survival, which is what it was. Interesting fact, and because this is a panel full of women, in one of the discussions I joined last year, somebody quoted a study saying that 80% of the businesses that really tried to keep their employees employed during the pandemic were women-owned. And I think that's something women have going for us. It's our compassion, it's our heart. Sometimes it creates challenges for us, but really it's what keeps us going. It's what gives us the courage to move forward despite the challenges that are presented to us. And so sometimes I ask myself, and I've had a lot of opportunity to do that, being stuck at home and all. Why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? Why am I subjecting myself to so much challenges as entrepreneurs do? But I realize when a business starts looking beyond the founder's dreams, but really looking also to its stakeholders and its community, then your purpose is no longer selfish. It is something that now involves more people. We have a team, we're a small team, but we're quite still a little less than 20 people who have families themselves. And there are coffee farmers that we constantly work with, and we sell coffee, so that we can also help them. And so why do we keep doing what we do? Because of our community. These are women coffee farmers that we have worked with. A lot of them we met with online as well in the past few months, teaching them about social media marketing and still teaching them how to improve the quality of their coffee online. We used to travel a lot around the country with the International Women's Coffee Alliance, with the Philippine Coffee Board, to help transfer technology to our women coffee farmers, to introduce new techniques to them, and all with the goal of bettering the quality of coffee in the Philippines so that it fetches better prices, and just improvement all around. And we do this for them. These are the people that we work with, not just women, but a lot of them women that we work with, and we still continue to keep in touch with each other. And also our team. This photo was taken from our outing last February. Good thing we were able to do this before the pandemic broke out. And that's why we keep working, because we have a wonderful team and we'd like to keep them part of the team and support their families as well. And because coffee. So I suppose nobody ever said that entrepreneurship was easy. But if you love what you're doing, if you know your purpose, if there is something there that goes beyond yourself as well, then you're just gonna keep at it. And hopefully there are better days ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the heartwarming talk. And yeah, I think I should get myself a nice cup of coffee. So Roz shared with us how she was able to deal with pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, how she shifted her business online, created products, as well as grow communities of home brewers. Her success story and her challenges is something we can learn from. So as she said, nobody can say that entrepreneurship was easy, but if you love what you're doing and you know your purpose, then you're just going to keep at it. And hopefully there are better days ahead. So I believe there are. So again, thank you everyone who has joined us. We have one final speaker. And don't forget to be part of the Adobo SheCreative network so we can help each other move forward. So yes, our final speaker for today is Merly Jaime. She is one of the most celebrated creative leaders in the Philippines. I've known Merly through her career for a couple of decades now, and I've seen how she's risen from a local creative to a regional creative, now to a global president of an ad agency. So she was the founder of Dentsu Jaime Saifu, and she termed the coin chair mom. As I said, she was a global president. Actually, it happened just at the lockdown, where she announced that she was the global president of Dentsu McGarry Bowen. And it's a global agency that provides a full suite of creative services and brand solutions. You can imagine how busy her day is normally when she deals with the rest of the world. Under Merly's name is an expansive list of decades worth of award-winning work and recognition for her remarkable creative leadership. Merly is the first Filipino and Filipina to be named as Creative of the Year for Southeast Asia in the Campaign Asia Pacific Agency of the Year Awards. She's also one of only 8 women in the 100 Best Chief Creative Officers in the world. And this is based on the Drum's global ranking in 2019. From various plaques and medals from international shows, I've witnessed where she won the country's first Grand Prix in Cannes. She has also sat in judging for international juries and speaking engagement in multiple creative festivals. Merly is truly one of the most decorated and well-loved pillars in the country's ad industry. Behind her tenacity and creative ingenuity lies a maternal tenderness, a passion for causes that truly matter. Merly is an advocate for women's rights. She and her team were responsible for winning the first ever Cannes Lion Award in 2008 for duct tape for women's rights group Gabriella. She also launched a project called #SisterGoodProject, inspiring women to support each other at work. Here to talk about WFH, Women from Home. Let us welcome Merly Jaime.
Hi, I'm Merly Jaime, and I'm here to talk to you about work from home and women from home. For us Filipinos, it's been exactly a year now that we are working from home. Some of us loved it, that we don't have to commute to work, we don't have to prepare and dress up or even shower. We even saved a lot of lunch money, and so on and so forth. But it's a different case for some women around the world, not just here in the Philippines. According to Deloitte's report, nearly 82% of women surveyed said their lives have been negatively disrupted by the pandemic. 65% now have more responsibility for household chores. 1/3 said that workload has tremendously increased during the pandemic. Women are finding it very difficult to focus on their work due to the lack of time and given the heavy responsibilities at home. Back-to-back meetings are making it very hard for, let's say, single women to take care of themselves, to keep their spaces clean, and some of them are tasked to even take care of their parents and household chores. Married women and moms are juggling, with their work and at the same time childcare. You know that the kids are at home, so they're tutoring them, teaching them school, and they're planning 3 meals a day. They're also washing dishes and doing the laundry. They're making jokes that their husbands are actually part of their kids because after all, they're another person to take care of. So working from home has really taken a heavy toll on women's daily lives. And the bigger questions in our minds is, how can we now take care of our careers? In Dentsu, I'm also the APAC Diversity and Inclusion Head. So early January, we had a women forum and to discuss our initiatives for the year. So, we have these breakout sessions usually, and here you have small talks. And during the small talk, some of the women were sharing their stories at home. This is where I started hearing these stories of how women are juggling work and household chores, for example, and childcare. And they were really burdened. That's when I really thought of the fact that women are more bogged down now in this imposed work from home strategy. Even if they have good partners or husbands at home, it's more of like the majority of the chores or the work for the home still are on their shoulders. It's their responsibilities. And the what if happened. What if we come out talking to the rest of our network and really asking our women, how are you? How are you doing? How's work at home? And really to find out what their feelings are. And this is the more important part of this is what actions can we take? Women from 10 countries got involved in this project, from Australia, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Japan, Philippines, Singapore, Taiwan, Sri Lanka, and New Zealand. 22 women joined the film, and we started interviewing them one by one, listening to their home life and work life together at home. And really, I asked Chrissy Saifu to be our director, and it was funny because she really could relate to this story, because she herself is a young mother. During our Zoom meetings, I could see her taking care of the baby at the same time thinking of treatments for the film. And it was very gracious also for Janet Leong to be our producer for the project. And we talked to all these women one by one, really listening to their stories and getting the authenticity and the rawness of it, the honesty. These women, it felt like a breath of fresh air for them to really tell someone of what they're undergoing at home. It feels like liberating for them. And we were listening and we were telling them to capture a particular moment in their life, in their stories, and that would be very eye-opening if they do. And of course, these are not all of them are very professional handling the cameras and angles and whatever, but so we guided them on how to shoot the videos themselves. Some of them would share with us their real feelings. And I remember they made some wishes that we put on the website. And one hit me hard when she said, "I wished my mom was with me." And when she said that, because she had twin babies, she knows she needed the help of her mother in caring for her children. And it brought me back to the years when I really was very lucky that my mom was helping me out when I was both going to work in the office and I have my children with me. And of course, the pandemic is not making that any easier. One of them was just kept on repeating, "I just need more time." And some of them said, while we have very good husbands or partners in life, at some point there is some part of parenting that it has to be them, or some taking lead into responsibilities like homework or tutoring or laundry. For some reason, they know it falls on them. Now, the result was this film, very raw, and it shows you a woman's sacrifice because of the desire to have it all, to succeed in having the family life in perfect shape, at the same time trying her very best to succeed in her career.
A little bit busy right now.
Jotted down for myself everything.
It's
okay, Mom. Today, message niya kita akin pero message niya kita ito.
Yung layout looks like.
Organization, pero
Your statement is
oh, someone. Close your eyes, Shishi.
Sleepy time. Mama has to work.
very nice.
Women from Home is all about our women's lives dramatically affected by the pandemic. And we're here to answer that question. How can we rise up into our multiple roles as a daughter, a sister, a wife, a mother, and still succeed in our careers? So we brainstormed with our D&I team and also what I call my Dentsu sisters, all these Dentsu creative heads. Alice Chow of Dentsu Magaribawan from Taiwan. We have Sachiko Nishihashi from Dentsu Tokyo, Pallavi Chakravarti from Taproot Dentsu in India, Bex Radford from BCF Dentsu in New Zealand, and Nikki Goles and Therese Liboro from our very own Dentsu Jaime Saifu. And we thought we can't just create a film and make everyone aware of the plight of women. We need to come up with solutions. And one example of an idea is 0 meetings before and after meals. Come on, we even have meetings during meals. This one would really help moms to prepare for the family, especially for the little children. And another idea would be what we call a daycare babysitting hour, but it's aptly called daycare. This is now happening in the Philippines, where you have an hour, the moms can put their kids in front of the laptop, and our colleagues will entertain their kids for them for an hour or so, through storytelling and crafts and even tutoring, so our women can have their me time. Another idea would be Wellness Wednesdays. In the middle of the week, sometimes you have to clear your thoughts and plan for your campaigns and think of ideas and not just being bogged down by so many endless meetings. So your Wellness Wednesday is a chill out day in the middle of the week. Another bright idea is free breakfast for our moms on a Saturday morning so that they can sleep in longer and not worry about preparing breakfast at least one, or at least for the weekend. Okay, they've been doing that for the rest of the week. Let them relax a bit. Now, this last idea I would share was inspired by our Dentsu Web Chutneys, Swiggy, The Better Half Cookbook. This has won many awards. And here it is, really. It's inspiring a partnership and sharing of chores in a very fun, light, and beneficial way.
Cookbooks have been around since the 4th century AD. And for over 1600 years, they've been written assuming it's only one person who's doing the cooking.
Isn't it time that changed?
Introducing Swiggy Instamart's The Better Half Cookbook.
Meals for 2.
Made by 2.
Cook equally.
In half the time. Chole kulcha. Cooking time 46 minutes. Cooking time with Better Half, just 23 minutes.
To order the ingredients for each recipe,
just scan the QR code and place the order on Swiggy Instamart.
Once you have the ingredients, follow only your side of the instructions.
Let things get steamy.
See your meal come together.
And go Dutch on cooking dishes from around the world.
Make kitchens equal with the Better Half Cookbook.
Share a picture of you with your better half in the kitchen using hashtag the Better Half Cookbook. Tag us and stand a chance to win a free copy.
As I've mentioned earlier, our women have wishes and we put them on the website, but here are some of them.
I wish I didn't have to grow up so fast.
I wish I could be with my mom now.
I wish pandemic is completely gone, so I don't have to worry about the health and safety of my family and the people I care about.
The one wish that I really have is that I had at least 1 hour in the day where I could just put my feet up and do whatever I felt like without having to bother about meetings, calls, or the household chores. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
I wish I have more time for myself.
Yeah. Selesai, makannya aku.
These wishes are very touching. We may not be able to grant them all, but at least they feel that we're here for them. We are listening, we see them, we understand them, and ready to help them out in whatever way we can. It's really time to transform work from home to wellness from home, especially for us women. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much for that, Merle. It makes us really empathize with women who work from home, and we appreciate the fact that you're able to listen to them and make that a liberating experience for the women who have something to say and listening to their wishes. The idea of 0 meetings just before meal times, I think is great. Having other colleagues take care of the kids for about an hour so that the working women have an hour for themselves. Wellness Wednesdays, and the better half cook. I mean, I've had my husband now share with the cooking and my daughters, so that helps. Appreciate that Dentsu and yourself are doing things for women and giving them the chance to make their lives better and making women from home live better. And thank you for sharing the wishes. I think that's part of what adoboSheCreative Network wants to do, is give you a chance to talk to each other. Now, thank you for that, Merle. We have the Q&A session that we're going to start right now. So we have in our chat room Ross, Juan, Rita, Isa, and Roxanne. So Ross is talking to us from Commune. Rita is talking to us from Hawaii, and Isa, I believe, in Silverlens. Roxanne in Bulacan. Hello, everyone, and I guess this is your first time to meet each other. So do say hello to each other. Thank you
Hi,
so
Rita.
much for such
Hi.
an
Hi, everyone.
inspirational, yeah. Okay, I mean, really, I think you have brought to the table so many inspiring ideas that will help us, move forward and work within creativity, build our businesses, and even introspect on our capabilities. And what you've shown is during these times, looking to ourselves and showing the best of ourselves really helps. So, we have we have this talk streamed on YouTube and 2 Facebook pages. So thank you to all the hundreds of women who joined us, as well as men who support our cause. And thank you to our panelists for being here today. So I've looked at some of the streams, and one question came from, I mean, anyone can answer this really, is from Louise Anonuevo. Margot and Rita talked about the emphasis of mentoring in their talks. So her question is, should people just accept mentoring that they can get, or should we carefully choose our mentors?
I'll answer first,
Sure.
but I think mentorship comes in many forms. Some are not as formal, and as with anything, it'll feel right. There'll be a connection. I think you can learn from everyone. It's important what you put into your body and into your mind. So I guess carefully choose what to believe in, and I guess then that comes carefully choose who you're going to be around, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a friend, etc. I think finding a group of like-minded people you can be sincere with, who you can be safe with, both professionally and personally, I think those are very important.
How about, thank you for that. Anybody else want to chime in to answer that question about should you choose your mentors and how do you go about it? And anybody else has a point of view on that?
I have to agree with Rita. You also have to choose your mentors. Of course, sometimes it's a chicken and egg situation. Sometimes you're looking for a mentor, you don't know where to find them, or sometimes mentors just present themselves. And then that's when you sort of make the decision if this person will be your mentor or not. But that's right. Also, it comes in all forms. And also, especially when you're starting a business, it also comes in all forms of opinions. So you're really just, you take everything with a grain of salt. But what I like to do is I approach any conversation as an opportunity to learn from someone. And what my mom would always say is you listen to people, you see what they have to say, and then you apply what you believe in. You don't have to do everything that they tell you to do. So a lot of it is critical thinking, and also to a certain extent, really knowing yourself, your capabilities, and your values before you just take ideas from everyone else.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas and information out there. And yeah, I guess, as some of you said, we have to selectively take it all in and decide how to work with it, with digital media giving you all the information you can possibly have and maybe too much. So I guess the question is very valid when you talk about mentorship. We have another question from Army Marie Bausas. She said, this is addressed to all speakers. What progress have you seen on gender equality in your life and at work? I mean, is there an issue in your workplace on gender equality? Maybe Isa, in Silverlens, is there such an issue at all?
For Silverlens, well, first, hello to everyone. Thanks, Angel and Adobo,
Hey, hello. Thank you
for inviting. Thanks to Commune for our
yay.
cold brew and for my grilled cheese sandwich. The issue about gender discrimination here in the gallery, not so much. And in the art world that we live in, that we work within, not so much. But I do feel it very much because I sit on several boards, and I do feel it when I get on these boards, because usually I am the only woman on the board. And I feel like I really need to, there's like, I don't know what the word is, but there's a lot of I guess it's mansplaining that happens towards me. And so I really try and make myself as clear and as undramatic and as matter of fact as possible, so that they understand that my thoughts and where I'm coming from, I'm on that board for a reason, just like anyway. So I guess in the general world out there, I do feel it, but here in my place of work, it's very gender neutral, above and beyond gender neutral, I think. And we've worked towards that, even with the distribution of our artists. Half of our artists are women, half are men. We have absolutely no biases, towards whatever your orientation is. Everyone is welcome. And so, yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, when you look at boardrooms today, there really needs to be more, I believe, equal representation. And I think we're getting there. I mean, in the ad industry, a lot of the ad awards shows now have a balance of women in the jury. And learning from that, women do have a point of view, a point of difference that in a male, if it was such a thing as a male-dominated world, I mean, our insights bring so much value. So, thank you. And then I think in the Philippines, many of us women actually take leading roles and do very well in marketing and in advertising, in design. There should be more women. How about you, Rex? And, we've been trying to promote women graphic designers. We see a lot of men out there. I mean, I sit on the Communication Design Association of Philippines board, and I'm the only woman there right now. So, any thoughts on the industry when it comes to women representation in the graphic design industry, Rexen?
I think, where I worked, we're just a really small studio, pero parang I never felt, I think it's because it's only Dan who's my boss. He's the only guy. And I think very conscious siya in hiring designers, I guess, giving more opportunity to women. Ewan ko kung nagkataon, but I feel like it's deliberate. So I think siguro medyo swerte din in our industry na I know a lot of women graphic designers, a lot of illustrators. So it's like right now I know more women designers and illustrators more than guys. So I think
that's great to hear.
Yeah, so I think siguro lang on a global scale or on a global level, what we would see na parang rock stars are like usually men. But I feel like I think we're trying naman to, I think we're there, like giving more voices to women in leadership roles. And yeah, I think in some way we're moving forward. And with, I guess, with the creative industry, parang siguro more than the corporate one, parang we are more open to different kinds of, I guess, leadership roles. So for women or non-binary people, or it doesn't, parang gender doesn't have to have a role in that. I mean, like from what I noticed in the creative industry. So
thank you for that.
Because it really does happen. I'm glad that it's more, especially in the arts and the creative communities. It's it's really stereotypes are being challenged, but it's still it still happens. I remember one man wouldn't talk to me in our first meeting, but would talk like derecho to my creative partner. It's really it was really you get bummed out, but then you have to. I mentioned it to my creative partner. He actually kind of saw what was happening, but you can't really keep that in. You have to, as I said, challenge those stereotypes. You have to use your voice. Whether it's happening to you or to another person, you use your voice. You show up for another human being, especially the marginalized. So, yeah.
I just wanted to add at this point that, in our chat room with our audience, I mean, each one of you have so many praises and commendation on your work and what you're doing. And if you have time later, you can look at the comments of how they love and appreciate your work and your mentorship as well. Okay, there's a question for the panel. I mean, there's a few that along these lines is, they talk about women in the workplace. And it seems that there's this notion that our softness or tenderness and our approach to how we do things, is it an advantage or setback? In relation to that, there was a question here that says, what do you have to say regarding the notion that women can't be leaders in the workplace, or politics are given that they're more emotional than men? Is this issue of being soft and emotional a bad thing? I mean, how do we deal with that?
Soft. I'm sorry. I'll answer first. But softness and tenderness are not mutually inclusive to women. I think today is a start to really challenge that stereotype. I think. Yeah.
Fair.
We're not as emotional. I think. I mean, if you just see what's happening, in global politics right now. I mean, the men are the emotional one, right? But
yeah, I think we're seeing more of that, right? We are.
I think it's not so much the tenderness and being more emotional, but the ability to have empathy. Empathy, I think, is underrated. It's not something they teach you in school, which they probably should. But I think women, because we are, I don't want to generalize, but in a lot of cases, women are more open to experiencing emotions, not being emotional, but more open to like letting emotions in. We're also able to empathize more with other people. And by empathize, it's like we're able to see ourselves in the shoes of other people. We're able to try and understand where they're coming from. We're able to feel for the challenges that the people we work with are going through. And that makes us effective leaders. And I think that's also been something that's shown in global politics. Because if you're able to empathize and relate with the people you work with, then you are better able to work with them, to communicate with them, to work as a team and achieve one goal. And just a quick add on to the previous question. Coffee is actually a very male dominated industry. I'm just lucky that women before me have helped pave the way so that, luckily I have not experienced being overlooked in a meeting, or maybe just because my voice was kind of loud, so they had to look at me. uh, but it's also important to be part of groups of women. There are studies that show that the success of men is sometimes due to the fact that they're able to organize themselves in all these organizations. You have Rotary, etc., etc. Women have less of that because of the other roles that we have to play. So we don't have as much time maybe to join such organizations. But I'm part of a group called International Women's Coffee Alliance, and that group was started to help women all across the coffee supply chain share knowledge with each other, really just create a network wherein producers from all over the world can talk to suppliers, women who work in big corporations that buy coffee, etc. And it facilitates communication, knowledge sharing, mentoring. So it's important to seek out organizations like these as well related to your industry. It also creates a nice support system. And that's also where you get exposed to very effective women leaders, so that the new generation of women have people to look up to and sort of have like a benchmark on how to be effective leaders themselves.
I have something to say also, just to add to what Rita said about the cliche. I think we have to move away from these cliches of women being gentle or soft or tender. I find that most
It's
of the men that I work
stereotyping.
with,
It's basically
yeah,
stereotyping.
yeah, I find that in the different circles I move around, and usually it's the men who are super sensitive, and it's because they're onion skinned. They're not used to being told, or not used to being questioned. Um, and the women actually take criticism much more directly, I find, because we just do it. Women, I think women tend to they're much more detail oriented, also much more action. It's like action agad. And I think it's because we just do stuff. We don't need to, we're not waiting for accolades or waiting for people to tell us, you're good or you're not good. So I think that's just the nature of the way women are. I'm not saying that men are, the opposite of that, or it's just that we have to move away from these gender stereotypes and just find out the best way we can work as individuals, wherein we add value to whatever system we are moving in, regardless of our genders.
Yeah. Hi. Can I add
Hi, Rex.
to what Ross said about emotions? Because I feel like being stoic is just a toxic masculinity trait na parang if you don't feel anything, you're stronger. And, it's actually the opposite. I feel like bringing emotions is actually important, whether you're a guy or a girl, because like what Ross said, it makes you care about things. I mean, just because you're emotional, you're irrational, it's not the case, because that's usually what parang what they see kapag if we're too emotional, parang you're not thinking straight, but we actually are, because we care a lot about the projects, we care about the people. So I feel like hopefully in the future we will bring those more in, and we try to stop being parang, I don't know, like the pamacho stereotype. Like being soft or being tender is not a negative trait. I mean, like if a guy's like that, or if women are like that, parang it doesn't have to be a minus point from us. If, for example, if you're a leader or something. So, ayon, I think dun din papasok yun nga yung gender stereotype. So, I guess hopefully, like in the future, I guess it's happening now, but like hopefully na we bring more emotions to the table.
Thank you for your insights. In fact, talking about stereotyping, I think even the world where I thrive in, which is communications and advertising, we should avoid stereotyping a lot of the roles that women have. And we tend to do that sometimes. Some brands still continue to do that. And I think we should take a closer look at how we present women to the outer world, so there is a a balanced context of who we really are. I wanted to bring out a question on women who are creative. I think that's one of the reasons why I formed the adoboSheCreative network. I want to emphasize the fact that there are a lot of women who are creative and sometimes unrecognized in certain sectors. Yeah, like for instance, Isa, you deal with art, you deal with women who are artists behind the work that you put in the gallery. Rita, you work with, I'm sure, women crafts, and then Ross, you deal with women coffee growers and the women's community. Can you give an assessment in your own world how women are represented creatively, and do you see a difference between how women work creatively and how men work creatively? Is there a difference that you see in the craft, the thinking, the process, and the output? Anyone can start.
I think, yeah, I can start.
Yep. Okay.
In our field, we don't really see them as men or women. We see them as artists.
Okay.
We don't, it's not so much their gender that distinguishes how they are. It's really more other things, if they grew up an only child or they grew up in a big family, or where they went to school, the kind of work that they do, if they work with communities or they work by themselves, if they're more global thinkers or they're more local thinkers. So there are other issues that come into play when it comes to dealing with the needs of the different artists. And that's actually why it makes it more exciting, because every single artist is a different island. They have different work, they have different needs. Nobody works the same way. Some have already passed on, so we work with their estates. I can't say that it's a gender thing. It's really more a life thing.
I agree with Isa. Things are intersectional nowadays. Whether feminism, everything, it's intersectional. We're more than just. We're so much more than just our gender. There's so, and I think we have to look past that. I think that's it's a beautiful thing, but we have to look past that. There's more to us than we're multidimensional. Everyone is, right? So you look at that.
Yeah, sometimes you want to look at more data on women, like statistics wise, the size of our representation, what we do, the kind of work that we do. And I hope over time we're able to do that, just so that the stats sort of show, hey, we're in this as well. And yeah, go ahead.
But other than that, it's other than just being women. You're Asian. You could be, whether you're gay, straight, whatever. You're maybe you're an immigrant. Maybe there's just your status, whatever. There's just so much more than just just one thing.
Yeah, if I may add also, because I belong to different circles of, I guess, professionals. So I have a group of doctors that I am, my friends, because I went to medical school. So I've held on to these friends over the years, and there are very strong gender stereotypes, which are sort of propagated by society. Like dermatologists are usually women, as are pediatricians, they're mostly women. Surgeons and cardiologists are mostly men. So it's sort of in these, I guess, these sort of 21st century specialities, for example, psychiatry or these sort of things that are more up to date with the times. That's where you see much more gender equality. It could also be because when you're a physician, there are huge demands of you if you are going to be a surgeon. Demands on your time, demands on your whatever brain space you have. But these, I don't know if these will be broken down over the years. I hope they do. But yeah, that's just an aside.
Thank
I
you.
think
Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead.
what's interesting with the coffee industry is, especially among coffee farmers, women were often overlooked. They're like informal workers in coffee farms because it's like a family business, right? So it's always the men. You see them tilling the farm, everything. The women are helping in so many aspects. They don't get paid for it, etc., etc. In some countries, women aren't given land ownership even. Farms are under the names of their husbands, so even if the women are the one managing it or they have to collect payments or something, they're just known as their husband's last name. Things like that. It's a bit better in the Philippines. But one thing that is scientifically proven is that women actually have better taste buds. So when it comes to cupping coffees and tasting coffees and distinguishing flavor nuances in coffees, women are more likely to be better than the men in doing that because physiologically we have more receptors in our
Fascinating.
and this is an evolutionary thing because women feed the infants, etc. So we sort of like evolved into better taste buds so we can taste for poison or rotten food or something like that. But also in improving the quality of coffee towards the whole specialty movement, which will help them fetch better prices, etc., etc. It's actually the women who have the patience and the pagka-meticulosa to really sort the coffee to improve the quality, and they are more receptive to applying innovations in processes in the farm and everything. So now they're recognizing just how important women are in being recognized and involved in coffee growing.
Well, I have a nice coffee blend here. It's called the W blend. Thank you very much. W stands for women who work on this product from form to cup. That's great. But thank you for that. Now, just a little question. I think somebody's curious, Rexen. You're dealing a lot with flora and fauna, and it's a beautiful map that you've done. I had a copy of your book during Graphica. They wanted to know, what's your favorite flower? I mean, you mentioned a few, but they want to know. I think they want to know you. So, yeah.
I think to be honest, it's whatever I'm drawing at the moment. Like I get parang if I have a new project or I try to research new stuff, parang I kind of get obsessed with that specific project or the specific flower. So I don't really have like a favorite, but I don't know. I guess okay, answer na lang ako. Siguro yung waling-wali. Parang ang dami kasi, but I'll just say one. Yung waling, yung waling-waling, yung it's Banda Centuriana. It's endemic sa Mindanao, sa Davao. So it's a really beautiful flower, and it's so beautiful. There's like a mythology, folklore thing going on. Like the Bagoba tribe thought it was so beautiful. Akala nila diwata nung nakasalubong nila sa forest. So it's just like a really, really nice story. So, ayun. Waling-waling na lang sagot ko.
We learned a lot from you because, once you get a hand into her map of the endemic flowers and fauna, you realize the Philippines is so rich with all of that diversity, and you can learn a lot from her Rexen's work because she's doing the research. And you've only covered a couple of regions, but I think that level of appreciation for what we have, appreciating that it's local, and actually illustrating it through your creativity is something I think that can inspire a lot of us. There's something specific to Rita. It says, how does Zacarias 1925 keep the production of the woven industry alive? Are young people still interested in learning how to weave or join the weaving industry?
I think more and more people are interested in weaving and keeping the tradition alive. I think with more contemporary design, with realizing the heritage, the intricacies of weaving, and obviously they see that in Philippine weaving as well as in Japan and in Italy, but and also and really with collaborations with very bright minds, very crazy minds. You need a little madness once in a while. I think that makes it more appealing to a different generation. So I'm hoping that and more people are actually realizing that and appreciating things that are handmade.
Now, I wonder, when it comes to weaving, how we can bring it, say, closer to, say, Metro Manila. How do we have access to learning how to weave? Or where can we access the materials? I mean, if there are women who want to start off, I mean, I'm sure with the talk that you've given and your itim collection and, the weaving of leather and wicker, sometimes, I think in the lockdown, people want to craft at home or learn new skills. How do you think we can help you give them access?
Actually, there are, I think MCAD, which is the Museum of Contemporary Art and Design in the Field, just did a workshop on that because there's a show by Hey Guyang that's up right now. I think it's up until March 31st. I think people should.
Oh, can you share that detail with us so we can share it with us?
Will, yeah. So that's at the Museum of Contemporary Art and Design, and we actually have some works that were commissioned by the museum and by the artists that are woven, and also there's some Inabel there as well, or inspired by Annabelle. And also, it's funny because we were going to come out, Esviscara, my mom's company was going to come out with a weaving kit so you can learn and kids can learn. So that should be out.
That's great. I mean, I'd love to.
You could start, and you could have, just a little bit of the, the material and a little how-to. So I think that's interesting and put it in a little box. So soon enough we'll have that.
And Isa, you mentioned that, being a gallerist, there's no course on being a gallerist, right? And you talked about your experience in the art scene. So how do we, what do you want to encourage more of? People producing art? Is your advocacy on having more venues to display art and see it in real life? What are you pushing for moving forward? As we know, this pandemic is going to extend for a bit. What's the one thing you want to happen in the art world right now?
I think the dream is to have a structure of professionals supporting the artists.
Okay.
Because there are enough artists. There are many artists, but there are not enough curators, writers, critics, art managers, conservators, exhibition managers, media managers for art. I mean, there's a whole, since I started Silverlens in 2004, when I started, it was really my driver and myself. Mm-hmm. We were Silverlens, and he became my art handler. Over the years, we would hire people who knew nothing about art and would just train them from the ground up. And more, we've been able to fill positions with people who already have some experience. But on the whole, we've trained everyone from the ground up. And I'm glad to say that, of the maybe 20 or 25 Silverlens alumni that we've graduated, they've gone on to bigger and better things. I mean, we have amazing graphic designers. We have our media manager became like one of the very first media managers in the country. The people are our salespeople, our media people. Everyone has really gotten a lot of value in their lives and used what they've learned to move forward. So I wish there were more of these people and more opportunities for these people to find meaningful work when the time comes that they're ready.
Yeah, so we can see that there's a gap in the teaching and mentoring of the crafts you mentioned. And hopefully with adoboSheCreative, we can outline what we can teach so that art gets out there. One of the things I wanted to ask all of you, I mean, you have exposure and you've had exposure with global markets, global schools, global audiences. I mean, does that bring in something to you as a person in the way you live and thrive? And the other thing I wanted to add is, like for you, Rita and Roxanne, you get noticed globally. You have, like Roxanne has global brands. You're doing work for global brands. And Rita, your work is seen around the world by, the most prestigious exhibitors. I mean, how do you get yourself noticed? And what do you think the global exposure has done to you as a person? And do you encourage that?
I guess I'll go first, but thank you for the kind words. A bit of it is I'm very thankful for my mother. I have to like say that offhand because I have, like, for me, I have to acknowledge that there's a certain privilege that's there. I mean, it is there, and I'm, because my mom has done what she has done with a company, etc. I'm very grateful that I'm actually able to do the different designs that I'm able to do. If I didn't have that, I don't think there's a lot of factories that would say, yeah, sure, make this prototype. We'll make this crazy prototype for you. Not a lot of people are gonna do that. So I have to be really thankful and acknowledge that. But also in that regard, then if there are people, designers, whatever, who want to do that, then I'm open to listening to, and if we have time, we'll be able to do that as well, because that's just, I mean, that's a right thing to do. But I'm thankful that there's some people globally who have been interested in the brand, but that's also because of the trade shows that we've joined in the past, and we have to also thank, and most recently we have to thank Pauline Juan and the team at Saitam for really making sure that not just my brand but the other brands as well, that's part of the Kindred Design Collective and Design Philippines that Gabby Lechauca and I help with. So we're thankful for that. I hope there's more, especially because of the pandemic, and I hope it continues. Certainly, I know Isa also does a lot of work with the different shows, art shows abroad as well.
Yes, it does.
I think those are are little kind of doors that open up, and then once you're in there, they see the work that you have, because you can be there, but then if your design, whatever you come up with, just isn't that great, then para que pa. But that's why you have to really keep on pushing and making sure what you show out there is, I mean, whether if it's good or not. So yeah, so good design is good design.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Yeah, Isa, you also have you've opened up galleries before in Singapore, and you do have exposure globally as Silverlens Galleries. How did you get there? How'd you get there? How'd you get out?
Oh my gosh!
Show,
it takes a village and a half.
Okay.
I'm not, every show that we do, it's a collaboration of so many different people and so many different groups. But I have to, what Rita said. Yeah, I'm super grateful for all of the people who we work with. I mean, first of all, I wouldn't be able to do Silverlens without my partner Rachel, who joined us in 2007 or 2008. So she does the creative side, and I do the programming and the finance, like the non-fun stuff. So actually, she should be the one that's here, not me. Um, but yeah, it was very conscious for us to get out into the world as early as 2006. So we started applying and joining art fairs in 2006, 2007, and all the years that we've been doing this, more and more doors have opened, and bigger and better opportunities have come in. Usually, in the beginning, they would see our applications, because all of these fairs, you can't just join them. You have to apply, and you're vetted, and then once you get accepted, if you get accepted, you have to pay a lot of money. And then you have to show your stuff, and your stuff has to be, good stuff. And then you have to reach out for people to talk to you, activate those networks. So it wasn't easy. It's still not easy, but more and more doors have been opening, especially since now, I mean, the African diaspora has been like the hot moment. And now it's really the Asian diaspora that's coming into focus. With us, it's specifically the Southeast Asian and Philippine diaspora that we're working with. So, like, for example, last month, we were part of an initiative of 40 galleries around the global South that did an online show, which was run out of South Africa, but it was a global show called South South. This week, we have a show opening in Dubai. The artwork is there, but we are not there. Next month, we have shows opening in Bangkok and I believe in Korea. Yeah, and then we have shows ongoing here. It's at any given time. I'm proud to say that we have maybe 3 or 4 shows going on anywhere in the world. But it's so much hand holding. I can't even begin to tell you how much networking and how much actually real friendships have been born across the continents and across the oceans. With people who recognize what we do, and we recognize in them as well, comparable or even larger efforts than ours. And we're just happy to be invited to the conversation.
Now, it's incredible how, we should take opportunity to show ourselves in the global landscape. I believe that, with everything being democratized because of digital, and how we're so connected, Asia, and whether it's Europe or America, we have a fair space to showcase ourselves. And congratulations both of you to continue to showcase Filipino creativity globally. Now, just to Rexon, you are doing work for global brands like Doc Martens, and the one you did for the Jordan store and Uniqlo and all of that. And Theo and Philo, I love your packaging. I would actually send that as my pasalubong to friends globally.
Thank you.
So yeah, how do you get your jobs? I mean, where so that the listeners can sort of, hey, how did she get that job? How did you get a foreign brand to tap into your creativity?
Yeah, I think when I started, siguro that was 2013. And nung time na yon, hindi pa talaga thing yung social media. Parang parang 2013 there was already Instagram, but it wasn't really. I think it was Behance where clients look for designers and illustrators, and then I think siguro nung mga 2014, 2015 it gained traction, and surprisingly parang biglang Instagram became a portfolio driven site. Like it's social, but you have your work there as well, and I think I just took advantage of that. Like my own Instagram, I just really kept on posting work, not even client work. Just when I started, it was more about personal work, just like stuff that I wanted to do. And I guess I just became really consistent with that, like just literally showing my work. And the clients that I got, parang naging domino effect siya. So I think it was 2016. It was Charles and Keith, and literally they just messaged me on Instagram that they saw my work, and they wanted to do a collaboration. And then from there, parang nagsunod-sunod na siya because I did this thing. It attracted the other projects as well. And I think all those opportunities have led me here. So it's really like, I don't know, I guess the power of social media, and like what you said, it's easier for everyone. It kind of levels the playing field na parang anyone can have, like social media, and you can just post your work online. So, and everyone, since your work is up there, parang all of the clients, they're also aware na. So, dun ka nila nakikita. So, I think yun talaga yung nag-play ng malaking part dun sa, I guess, it led to me collaborating with these brands. But also not just having social media, but I guess just consistently putting out work that they can see. Though medyo double-edged swords, double-edged sword siya ngayon. Because, I mean, on one hand, it gets you exposure, but on the other hand, for some reason, like, there's this parang productivity thing going on na parang you have to keep on posting work. So there's that thing na parang like younger artists or illustrators would get discouraged because like they always see someone would keep on posting like really good work, but so there's that as well. Like it's advantages, but also like more on the personal level, parang iba din yung pressure na dadala niya kasi parang biglang naging fast-paced lahat.
Thank you for that, Rex. Now, the final question for everyone is, in your view, how can we continue to make space for women to flourish in creative industries? So I'll go around the room. Let's start with Isa. How can we make space for women to flourish in creative industries? And then I'll go around,
Yeah. Okay, I think that, oh, wow, that question really stumps me. Because I don't really think about that because it just is, it already is. But maybe what I can sort of steer maybe a couple of nuggets to that people can take away is, first, everyone can participate in the Philippine art community. Everyone. So if you are not following, a museum or a gallery, you can follow Silverlens. You can follow, different galleries on your Instagram or on your Facebook. If you aren't, then you should. And you should learn about what is going on in contemporary art through this. The next thing is, find out about our women artists. Just Google online. There are so many women artists, many who've gone before us, really, really, really unique, pioneering voices like Pasita Abad. There's, there's Imelda Kahipe Indaya. There's so many, and then move towards women who were active in the 80s, in the 90s, in the thousands, and to now. So I think that's a way to celebrate what women are doing in the arts.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, thanks. Rita?
I second what Isa said. And, let me add that I think I said it maybe earlier that, you have to show up for people, whether women, LGBTQ, the marginalized, whatever, just show up for them. You can't expect others to show up for you if you don't show up for them. But, I think that's important. I think, a safe space for sincerity. I think it's also very helpful in that space. But yeah, I think there's so much room for everyone. There really is. Just share and be compassionate and I remember Ross, my seat and text mate, was saying about empathy earlier. So Ross.
Okay, Ross.
One thing I really enjoy is working on collaborations
Mm.
with a lot of other people. So when we opened Commune, of course, it was primarily to showcase local coffee, but we wanted to showcase local products. So we have local bakers, etc., etc. One thing that I've enjoyed really doing is working with local creatives. So when we could do events here, we always provided a literal space for them to showcase events, have meetups, do their workshops. And now that everything is online, we try to collaborate with them in terms of like merchandise. So our
Mm.
most recent collaboration is with Mansi Abesami. She's a potter. She created drippers for us called Hawak Mo Kapalaran Mo. I'm quickly gonna grab one to show you. Um, and it's specially designed. I mean, I told her, let's do something coffee related. And she's like, okay, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know, run away with it. So this is a cup, but we also have one with a hole under. So it's a dripper and it's
Mm.
a hand. So and the whole symbolism was, at least when you make your coffee in the morning, you have the 10 minutes to concentrate on making a cup and realize that, okay, this day I'm going to be the master of this day because hawak ko yung kapalaran ko. So things like that. So it's really providing literal space for them
Mm.
to work with you. It's providing openings. It's being being able to find ways to work with them. So your goals, when you put it together, you get to reach more people. You get to, and you even get to showcase like other possibilities that could happen. I'm looking around the cafe now. Rita has really old stock Essie Vizcarra carvings on our wall over here. We've got her lamps outside. We've got Imurio rattan all around our
Mm.
bar. So it's, the possibilities are endless. You're just going to have to be genuinely interested in working with the creative community, and you're going to be surprised with the outcome that's going to come out of it.
Thank you for that, Ross. Rex?
Yeah. I think yun nga, parang I think you really have to be aware of, first of all, you have to be aware of who are the women designers or the LGBTQ plus designers. And I think just trying to give them opportunities. Like, me, siguro in a way, parang medyo nasa advanced level na ako. Like, I'm not a startup, I'm not a beginner na illustrator, diba? So I already have this network of clients or collaborators. And, I think as much as, I guess you want to work on all of these projects, you really just can't. And what I really like doing is I refer these younger people, and most of them are actually women. Actually, parang lahat ng lagi kong nire-refer is women. Kasi gusto ko yung parang, I guess, pay it forward na nung nakuha ko and also nung na-refer ako, parang gusto ko yun din yung magawa ko dun sa someone starting out, which was me years ago. So I think I'm just like very aware lang of that, na parang conscious talaga ako na kung meron akong i-refer or meron akong I guess, ipopromote or whatever, isusupport their women or LGBT, like the queer people. So, ayun, I guess just being aware of the kung sino sila. Parang ganun. Like you have to go out of your way to know who these people are. Parang ganun. And like just supporting them, like following them or buying their art, or like it already means a lot. So to us, I mean to everyone. So ayun.
Well, on behalf of the Adobo team, I'd like to thank you all. Oh yeah, you want to add something? Yeah, go.
I want to add something. I just have a little anecdote. A few weeks ago, Rachel and we went up to Baguio with a dear friend of ours, Mrs. Maribel Ungpin, who is in her, she's above 80 years old. And we thought it would be a relaxing weekend with her hanging out just in her house. But my gosh, I was so humbled because the whole trip was her connecting people to other people. So, for example, there was a weaver in Baguio. She needed to introduce to somebody who was visiting. There was a priest, a Jesuit priest who had a project there, who she needed to introduce to somebody else because she thought they could work well together. And, amazing. And it gives me so much insight about what we can do as we get older. We can connect people. People who we think need to know each other, need to work together. And it's not a light connection. It's a you and you put your heads together and do something.
Amazing. The power of collaboration and connecting through networking and showcasing, the capabilities of women artists, women who are in this space. Thank you again on behalf of the Adobo team. Thank you on behalf of those who are listening for all the time you've taken to share your thoughts and expertise and showing us what women do. So Rita, Isa, Ross, and Roxanne, thank you for being part of the Q&A as well. And Margot, she's actually having a global meeting right now with the rest of her counterparts in McDonald's. And Merle just celebrated her birthday, so she's on her birthday leave. So that's why they couldn't join us today. But again, thank you. And I want to take this opportunity again to show gratitude to our partners. What Women Do and the adoboSheCreative 2021 Virtual Breakfast is co-presented by H&M, Lazada, McDonald's, and Johnson & Johnson. And our streaming partner for this event is Kumo. The event is also supported by Bahn Mi Coffee, FlowerStore.PH, Belle de Jour, Jacob's Creek, and Bahn Mi Coffee. The adoboSheCreative is powered by Adobo Magazine, the word on creativity. Today's session is one of many that we're planning to undertake as part of the adoboSheCreative Network, and we hope you can join us again for the next one. Once again, thank you to Big Mac Meals, care of our partners from McDonald's, by scanning the QR code flashed on screen to register. You can follow adoboSheCreative on social media handles by scanning the QR code on screen now. Be a part of our community and help women in creativity. And for those who are taking home gifts from our partners, our team will be sending you a message after the event. So please keep your eyes peeled. Once again, thank you for sharing your time with us at the first ever adoboSheCreative 2021 Virtual Breakfast. And I'm Angel Guerrero, founder and editor-in-chief of Adobo Magazine, the word on creativity. Good morning.
Happy birthday to ya, la la Lazada. Happy birthday to ya, la la Lazada. Happy birthday.
Lazada birthday sale on March 27.
Gusto mo na Mac-Savers? Starts at 35 pesos lang yan.
Mai-in-love ka talaga sa presyo ng McSavers. Sarap ng kain, anytime, sa presyong kayang-kaya. Love ko to.
Love ko rin.
65% of all our materials are recycled, organic, or sustainably sourced, making conscious choices easier.
We're showing off our panties, loud and proud. Wetness that can cause odor and bacteria down there? We use Carefree panty liners, kaya carefree from odors and attracting bacteria. Be proud to wear your clean and fresh panties every day with Carefree.